Yeah, you've been around obviously just a ton of the greatest defensive minds really ever. What about Draymond Green makes him just so special on that end?
Well, when you start talking about great defenders, and I believe he was first team All NBA this year, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But the first thing is a natural affinity and desire to be a great defender. And when you say, well, what's a natural affinity? Understanding spatial arrangements, being able to do work early, understanding angles and distances, having the desire to want to stop an opponent, but at the same time understand how that's done with wisdom. It's not, with reaching or blazing speed. It's about position. And some people understand their body position better than others. I think back to Steve Kerr played for me, and people would try to get him in a switch so that they could take him to the block and try to, punch him down under the net. He would release contact, he'd end up in front of him because he understood about space. Now, if he was out on the court one-on-one, he'd have a tougher time. But in certain situations, he had an affinity for how to use his body and what the spaces were. Well, Draymond does that all over the court, and he enjoys it. So all those things help him be who he is.
Well, number one, when I came, I'm very grateful for those comments from Coach Pop. Obviously, one of the godfathers when it comes to, NBA basketball for sure. When I came into the league, I fell in the draft because their number one question was, what position would I guard? And that stuck with me. And I wanted to make everyone eat those words. Every team that passed me, every reporter, everybody who's ever said anything about my defense at that point, I wanted them to eat them words. And it just became a way of a mindset, a way of life, like it just became a part of who I am. And, fast forward to see what playing great defense can do to a team, to see what playing great defense, how it can completely snatch the confidence of your opponent. That was enough for me because, when you're playing a game of basketball, if you can take the mind, everything else will follow. You can take somebody's mind, if you can take their confidence, if you can get in their head, everything else follows. And, just understand the success that I've been able to contribute to teams by giving all that I have on that side of the ball, that's where it started. And eventually it just became a love of mine. I absolutely love playing. I enjoy it. And I think I enjoy it because I look at every defensive possession as a battle. And I want to win as many of the battles as I can. So it all boils back down to just my competitive spirit and always wanting to win whatever I'm doing. When you have an opportunity to play for USA Basketball, you do that. At least that's how I feel. And for me, it was a no-brainer. I knew in 2016 that the next Olympics I wanted to play. And, I'm extremely honored to have the opportunity to be here. But it was never a question for me. This is what we work for. You work for the accolades. You work to win. You work to be on top of the world. That's what you put the work in for. And the reality is this year it's a 5-6 week commitment. And looking at it, I can look at it short-sighted and say, 5 or 6 weeks, most of my summer, but it's 5 or 6 weeks. But I looked at it differently. I looked at it as 5 or 6 weeks of the rest of my life. And I'm sure there's several things that I could have done, or several other pockets of 5 to 6 weeks that I can do whatever I would do with these 5 to 6 weeks. But the Olympics aren't one of them. You get one chance every 4 years, in this case 5. And I didn't want to pass up that opportunity. I don't want to let what's been a hectic 14 or 16 months make me decide against an opportunity that I may never have again in my life. So it was a no-brainer for me. That's who he is. I always tell people there's this very cliche line that everyone uses in basketball when you're working out: go game speed every rep. Quite frankly, I've never seen anyone do it except him that I have seen had an opportunity to really watch their workout. And, that's how he plays the game. That's how he works. And, you're talking to a guy who would sit at home, sit in his house and watch an elementary school basketball game just to watch basketball. Really, really love the game. Love watching the game, student of the game, obviously love hooping. It's an incredible thing. I had no doubt in my mind that he was playing here. And I'm sure everyone tried to talk him out of it, coming off an Achilles injury, all the minutes he just played in the playoffs, had some injuries throughout the year. What I knew and knowing Kevin, that you were going to have to talk him out of playing as opposed to talking him into playing. Because he just loved hooping. That's what he lived for. He just wanted to play basketball. You give him an opportunity to play basketball on this stage, he's never turning it down because he just loves playing. I think the growth in his game has been incredible. I still remember the days in Philly of the scouting report being, hey, he downhill and he's Euro stepping every time, and playing off of him, giving him the shot, and to watch, his journey. He's one of the guys in the NBA now, and all-star, just an incredible year. And then going to Pistons, obviously I always watch the Pistons. I'm from Michigan. And, what he went there, what he's gone there and done is incredible. One of the most improved players in this league for sure. And, coming out here, it's very easy for a guy, especially a guy like Jerami, who hasn't been at that level for as long as a Kevin Durant, for as long as, a Damian Lillard. It's very easy for a guy to come in and just take a back seat to those guys. He's came in, he's been aggressive, playing with extreme energy, and it's going to be a huge part and, play a huge role in us winning the gold.
From the perspective of someone that's tried to guard Dame, what is that like, and what makes him such a great
I feel like you just disrespected me, someone who tried to guard Dame. That's crazy. No, I'm just fine. Go ahead. Obviously one of the best shooters in our game, one of the most prolific scorers in our game, and also an incredible leader, an incredible point guard. When you from Oakland, and he embodies that, he carries that, he carries that toughness. And that makes all the difference when he takes the floor. And as far as 7 and 14, we all worked from home for a year. So it's possible, but we'll see what happens. Obviously, the guys are back there doing all the work, and as they always have. And, I'm sure, they'll make a good choice. I'll give my input where I can, but I'm trying to win a gold, so it's important. Me and Steph have a great understanding, which is a part of our chemistry and part of our relationship. I understand him. I don't need to try to push him to play for Team USA because I already know the reasons why. And I don't need to try to come in between those reasons. So, no, I did not. I asked him, was he playing? He said no. That was the end of the conversation.